The metro is the beating heart of the city of Paris. Initial construction started in 1898 and Line 1 was completed on the 19th of July 1900. Today the Paris Metro is 136 miles long, has 305 stations and carries 4.5 million passengers every day. Iconic in its design, each metro stop bears a person's name, an event or a landmark that helped shape the France and her culture that we know today. In this podcast, we will take the metro to the Franco-Prussian War, the Revolution, past the French resistance of the 40s, through the victories of Napoleon, and stopping by great intellects, innovators and artists to discover how France and Paris were made and the people that made her. So let's go on a trip through French history, one station at a time. Welcome to Metro Stop Podcast. June 1944. The Allies are on their way, landing on Normandy. You have raised an army and you are ready to fight in the streets of Paris. Then Hitler gives the order, destroy the city. Welcome to the final episode in the Resistance series. This is Metro Stop and I'm your host, Kelly Blair. As members of the Resistance, Cécile and Henri were forced to hide both their identities and their relationship during this period. She used codenames like Jean, Yvette or Lucy when on missions as a liaison officer, and sometimes had to disguise herself by changing her hairstyle and clothes. She played an essential role in Henri's life when he became responsible militarily or politically for the inter-regional leaderships of the first armed resistance groups, then the FTP, Les Francs Tireurs Partisans. After the birth of their second child, Hélène, on the 28th of May 1941, Henri asked her to consider working elsewhere and leave their daughter with her mother to avoid the possibility of them both being caught. She refused and continued her work, sometimes having to use her daughter's pram to conceal guns, grenades, clandestine newspapers. This activity was common among the women of the resistance, and it was very dangerous. If you were caught transporting weapons or propaganda, you risked being shot on the spot. Despite moving around a lot and frequently separating from each other, the couple managed to keep their family life together, and their son Jean was born on the 13th of November 1943. Cécile lived in the underground headquarters at Denfert Rochereau with a team of staff typists. She continued to fulfil her vital communications and liaison role and helped to set up a command post in the underground shelter. Cécile describes their lives at this time saying, Henri was circulating a lot and at that time I was stuck down there to relay the communiques. In June 1944, Rol Tanguy took command of the French forces of the interior and organised an uprising against the German garrison in Paris at Hôtel de Ville. The liberation of Paris was not really a priority for the Allies led by Eisenhower. Operation Overlord was in full explosive swing in the north. It had been 2 years in the planning and had the highest of stakes. It had to succeed at all costs in pushing the Germans back off the Normandy coast. But they just could not let Paris fall. On August 19th, 1944, Henri and Cécile published and distributed a pamphlet calling for the citizens of Paris to arms and decreeing general mobilisation. This marked the beginning of the end of the Nazi occupation. The resistance fighters, supported by the Parisian police, began their assault on German positions throughout the city. The streets of Paris echoed with gunfire as the resistance fought to reclaim their city. The fighting intensified. On the night of August 24th, elements of General Philippe Leclerc de Haute-Cloc's 2nd French Armoured Division entered Paris and reached the Hôtel de Ville shortly before midnight. The following day, August 25th, 1944, saw the culmination of the battle. General Dietrich von Choltitz, the German military governor of Paris, had been ordered by Adolf Hitler to destroy the city if it was to fall into Allied hands. If they want it back, he said, let them have it in rubble. No one wanted this battle to escalate. Everybody wanted to avoid another Stalingrad. 1 million people died in urban warfare of attrition between 1942 and 1943. Although eventually the Soviets took back the city, no one really did win in that battle. So, von Choltitz, outflanked and outmanoeuvred by the French and Allied forces, was very fond of Paris and her beauty and culture, and realised the futility and devastation the orders would cause. He chose, with a glimmer of humanity, to defy Hitler and wave the white flag of surrender. General Dietrich von Choltitz notified Colonel Rol that he was ready to negotiate. Alongside Free French General Philippe Leclerc de Hautecloque, Tanguy accepted and signed the formal act of surrender on the 25th of August 1944, thus marking the end of the battle and the liberation of Paris. The city erupted in celebration as Parisians took to the streets to welcome their liberators. There is an iconic photo of General Charles de Gaulle leading a triumphant march down the Champs-Élysées on August 26, and it remains a powerful symbol of the liberation. But the liberation of Paris was not only a military victory, but also a significant morale boost for the Allies and the French people. It showed that the tide of war was turning decisively in favour of the Allies. The sight of Parisians celebrating their freedom and welcoming their liberators was a sign of hope and resilience. On the contrary, the loss of Paris was a significant psychological blow to the German forces. It signalled the weakening of their control over Western Europe and foreshadowed further defeats. The surrender of General Dietrich von Choltitz, who defied Hitler's orders to destroy the city, also highlighted the growing disillusionment within the German military to Hitler's growing insanity. The liberation allowed General Charles de Gaulle and the Free French forces to establish a provisional government in the city. This move was crucial to assert French sovereignty and ensure that France would be recognised as a key player in post-war order. It was also helped to unify various factions within the French resistance under a single leadership. Cécile recalled the liberation by saying, quote, "When they told us, we didn't hear the bells ringing, but I had a pillow fight with the girls who were with me. After the Paris uprising on the 28th of August 1944, she was the only woman invited to General de Gaulle's reception at the Ministry of War. In 1945, Cécile received the Resistance Medal from the French Committee of National Liberation for her contributions to the struggle. In memory of all of her friends they lost during the war, Cécile and Henri made a pact to remain members of the French Communist Party. Cécile also worked to maintain the memory of the French women's resistance and anti-fascist fighters. Henri continued his military career and became an officer. And after the war, he received the Croix de Guerre, the Medal of the Resistance and the Order of the Liberation. He remained in the French army with a permanent commission until 1962. After his army career, Henri joined the Central Committee of the French Communist Party, where he remained until 1987. Cécile and Rol Tanguy stayed together married for 63 years. The family grew with the births of Claire on the 2nd of October 1946 and Francis on the 18th of July 1953. Rol Tanguy died on the 8th of September 2002, aged 94. The New York Times called him one of France's most decorated resistance heroes, and he received a salutation in the Invalides from Jacques Chirac, the recently re-elected President of France. In 2004, he was commemorated at Place Denfert Rochereau with a plaque renaming part of the Place Avenue de Colonel Henri Rol Tanguy, and he was subtitled on the metro station. Cécile continued to devote herself to the memory of the resistance. She said, quote, "It is out of respect for all those who fell for freedom that I am fulfilling this duty of remembrance. After Henri's death in 2002, Cécile increased her efforts to commemorate and preserve the memory of those who helped her in the fight to free Paris. She did this through media interviews, speaking in documentaries, and frequently travelling to speak at schools throughout France. She stressed the importance of fighting for one's freedom and highlighted issues such as women's rights. In 2008, Cécile became the Grand Officer of the Legion d'Honneur. Although initially reluctant to take this honorary position, she decided to accept it in the name of all the female resistance fighters who are too often forgotten by history. She also successfully advocated for the reopening of the Resistance Museum and moving it to Place Denfert Rochereau, the location from which she and Henri launched the insurrection that led to the liberation of Paris. Cécile Rol Tanguy passed away at her home on the 8th of May 2020, aged 101, on the 75th anniversary of the end of the Second World War in Europe. She left behind a legacy of courage, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to freedom and justice. This has been Metro Stop. My main sources for this season are the RATP and the website lemetron.fr. Other sources are listed on show notes, music by Martin Shelkins, and you can contact me at metrostoppodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening.